Welcome to US Movie Recaps. In today's video, we will be enjoying an action fantasy film, entitled The Monkey King Reborn. There will be spoilers ahead, chill out and enjoy. We see Wu Jing and Piggy Bai Jay at the beginning of this movie. Wu Jing explains to Bai Jay that during the creation of the universe, energy flowed as light, and the energy that fell below led to the development of Earth. At that time, a demon by the name of Yuandi was born, and because of his great power, everywhere he went, all living things transformed into demons. As a result, he decided to combine all three worlds so he could rule the heavens. Just to stop him, Buddha came but failed. Even the soldiers of heaven were not able to stop him, so a disciple of Buddha decided to make a significant sacrifice to do so. With the help of his soul, the demon was then buried beneath the earth. The land where he was buried became cold and black, and according to this book, Yuandi had the power to turn anyone into a demon. When Piggy heard this story, he shouted, "You always used to tell me the same story with other names." He grabbed his book, and they both started fighting. Then, we find a calm Buddhist master Golden Sakara waiting for his disciple Wukong when they both reached there and were still fighting. In fact, Piggy and Wu Jing were also Master Sakara's disciples. The movie's lead, Sun Wukong, then makes a big entry while flying through the mountains at the speed of light. He then gives his master some water to drink. Actually, he only went there to get some water, so they were shocked when Piggy and Wu Jing learned that Wukong had traveled a great distance for just some water. The next day, they paid a visit to the Wuhuang temple. When they got there, two young keepers of the temple met them and led them inside, where they found it to be a huge temple. Piggy and Wukong were seen making trouble there and playing with the valuables without obtaining permission from their master. Master Sakara pays respect to the sacred lake of that temple, and then we see Piggy telling Wukong that if they could just help them out, they would be given a treasure in the form of a fruit. When the temple keepers went to the sacred tree to get the fruit, Piggy and Wukong disguise themselves as caterpillars and follow them. When they both get to the holy tree, they are awestruck by its beauty and the fruits it produces. After the keepers left, they approached the tree with the intention of eating its fruit, but when Piggy tried to do so, the fruit disappeared. Wukong realized that this was a tricky place, so he pulled out the keeper from the earth and asked about the fruit. The keeper said that this was a fruit known as sapodiya, also known as ginseng, that it takes 10,000 years to develop a holy tree and that it can only produce 30 fruits. After eating one fruit he would stop aging for 47,000 years. 3 ginseng fruits are picked by Wukong, who then shares them with his friends. When the keepers discover this, they count the fruits of that tree and find 4 are missing. When the keepers ask about this, Wukong replies that he had just 1 fruit. Then their master Sakara comes and asks questions about the problem. Keepers admits that his monkey took 4 ginseng fruits. Wukong accepts it and claims he only took 3 of them. They got into a disagreement over this and started fighting. Wukong was told by the keepers that he is a demon and useless. He became enraged by this and damaged all the fruits before using his stick to destroy the entire tree. The head of the keepers, Yuandi, then showed up with his soldiers. The keepers have revealed that the Master Sakara's 3 wicked disciples stole the ginseng fruit, and one of them, Wukong, destroyed the holy tree. To prevent Yuandi from escaping, Yuandi orders his followers to create a demon-protecting shield on the surface of the holy tree. Their master Sakara begs for his forgiveness. As per Yuandi, they all treated them with respect, except for his disciples. 3 of them are then imprisoned in his magical cell until, all of a sudden, the shield of protection breaks and Yuandi escapes from the holy tree's roots, taking Master Sakara along with him. Wukong tries his best to free himself but is unsuccessful. Yuandi explains to Wukong that it took a lot of work to capture Yuandi, but after freeing him by knocking down the holy tree, Yuandi will now make every effort to merge the 3 realms, which will cause the destruction of the earth. Wukong says that you are the ancestors of gods, so why are you terrified of him? Wukong says that the only way he can save his master is by setting him free. If he does so, he thinks he might be able to capture Yuandi as well. Yuandi says that if he is unable to capture Yuandi, he will continue to imprison Wukong under the mountains forever. When Wukong agrees to his challenge, Yuandi releases him. After the trio left, he dispatched his disciples to tell the God of Heaven about the situation. Meanwhile, Yuandi's demonic abilities are noticed wherever he goes, possessing every living thing. Yuandi hides in the mountains with the Master Golden Sakara. Many demons were present, and all of them believed Yuandi to be a sea creature. However, their leader informs them that Yuandi is actually the ancestor of all demons. All of the demons immediately knelt before him after learning this. Yuandi informs them that he lost his old body as a result of being trapped underground for a long time. He then commands them to take care of Golden Sakara until he can reclaim his body. He then vows to merge the 3 worlds in 3 days, and no one will be able to stop him. Then we see Wukong and his two friends searching for Yuandi when suddenly a little creature appeared from Wu Jing's basket and claimed to be the holy soul who had captured Yuandi. However, Wukong didn't trust him and sent him away. He again takes out the god of the land, and when they ask about Yuandi's whereabouts, he informs them that he is hiding in the mountains. As a result, all three of them reach out to the mountains in pursuit of him. Yuandi discovers that someone is looking for him and sends his demons to kill that holy soul. Later, we learn that the holy soul was in a town with Wukong and his friends. The demons of Yuandi then showed up. After hiding the pure soul, Wukong began to fight the demons. The villagers were under the control of the demons, and some of the men went in search of the pure soul just as the demons were ready to capture him. Wukong then arrived and sent the men away. When he saw the villagers in danger, the pure soul felt terribly sad and decided to help everyone who was affected by Yuandi's powers. We then witnessed the demons explaining to Yuandi that they were ready to capture the holy soul when Wukong rescued him, but after hearing this, he became enraged and sent his demonic souls to kill that pure soul. Then, we see Wukong and his friends. They enter the mountain god's temple in an attempt to find Yuandi, but the god wasn't there, so Wukong sends Piggy and Wu Jing to find him. Yuandi's demonic souls also arrived at that temple and hid in the statue of that god, just as the demonic soul was about to kill that pure soul. Wukong immediately saves it. The two of them engage in combat. His friends have also arrived to help him in fighting the demonic souls. When Wukong struck the god of the mountains in the head with his stick, all of the demonic souls escaped from his body, and the god of the mountains regained consciousness. When Wukong asks about Yuandi's location, the god points toward Millennium Mountain. We could then see that mountain, where all those demons were celebrating Yuandi's freedom and where he returned to his original form, and here in the middle of the way, that pure soul asks Wukong who named him Wukong. He tells the holy soul that learning about him is more important than learning how he got his name. When that soul asks, "Do you know anything about yourself?" Wukong responds, "I know everything about myself, and I also know that I'm a demon, created by a magic stone." The pure soul replies that while they are all wicked demons, he has a heart and is a good demon, and then the pure soul nods off. Because he was in the form of a child, Wukong didn't want that pure soul to accompany him, so he surrounded him with a shield and traveled to Millennium Mountain with his friends. When Wukong, Piggy, and Wu Jing arrived at Millennium Mountain, where many demons could be seen, they all got into a fight. When Piggy first started, everyone thought he was completely powerless, but soon Piggy transformed into a giant and crushed all those demons beneath him. Wukong then mercilessly killed the demons with his magical stick before using only his hair to create an army of Monkey Kings who helped them in fighting all those demons. Yuandi then came and asked Wukong to give him that pure soul, but Wukong moved forward to kill him instead, and a fight started. Wukong's friends also showed up and helped him in fighting Yuandi, but Yuandi alone was in control and cruelly beat them all. When Yuandi came onto that pure soul, Wukong tried his best to stop him, but this time he was severely injured. When Wukong's allies arrived to help him, Yuandi killed both of them, but was unable to destroy the pure soul because of a protective shield surrounding him. He then uses all of his powers to damage the shield from the inside, but Wukong intervened and made an effort to save the holy soul. After witnessing Wukong take his final breath, that soul was sad. When Yuandi brought his teacher Sakara and killed him in front of him, that soul tried to give Wukong his soul, but Wukong denied because doing so would cause that pure soul to die. When Yuandi was ready to kill Wukong, the pure soul tried to stop him but was unsuccessful and was killed by Yuandi. As a result, that soul entered Wukong's body and he came back to life. Yuandi began to merge the three realms, but Wukong stepped in to stop him. He struck Yuandi with his stick, and the two engaged in a bloody battle, in which Wukong used all of his strength to strike Yuandi in the head, killing him instantly. All the dark clouds disappeared shortly after his death, and Wukong's friends also came back to life. However, they were grieving the loss of their master, when suddenly Wukong hears a noise behind him and turns to see his master Golden Sakara. Everyone was happy, and we then witnessed the goddess of mercy plant the holy tree seed in the same location, where it immediately blooms once more, leaving the story with a happy ending. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our channel to get notified whenever we publish the next recap. Till then, take care. See you next time.